This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate. Because I'm on camera now with you in these interviews, Mr. Gareth A. Davies. I was meant to be first in the sort of media circle that you did, but ended up having to stay in Manchester last night. So I've only really had access to my laptop this afternoon, but we've linked up. Better late than never. How are you, sir?
I got up early to do that interview this morning, so I'm not happy.
Well, I messaged you at 7:30.
I was up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the interview weren't till 9, so you can't have unless you were really preparing.
Man like Parsons getting a slap when I see him.
My
No,
guy,
no, not at all. Not at all, really. No, I got up early, but I've done my 20 miles on the bike today, and
come on.
I love Mondays anyway. But no, I missed you this morning. Obviously, you were at the game last night, and it was one of the great FA Cup ties. I am aware of that. One of the great FA Cup ties, and you got delayed up in Mank, and had a wonderful day with Tyson Fury. So I'm going to interview you right now about Tyson Fury.
Okay.
Um, as you know, I believe he beats Oleksandr Usyk anyway, and I believe that if he beats him significantly and powerfully, I think there'll be a step aside for Usyk,
Yeah.
and I think he'll fight Anthony Joshua next. And I saw Tyson briefly, gave me the raspberry in Saudi the other week when he was with his wife and his team. Um, but he looks in really good form to me, and I know you spent significant time with him yesterday. I just think he's got the bit between his teeth. He's seen what Joshua's done against Ngannou. Um, he knows that he wasn't on his best form against Ngannou, and I know what happened in his training camp till he cut his eye. You went out to see him in Thailand. You gave me a little sneak and said, not a sneak at all, but you just said the eye looks good. I had a quick sneak at it myself in Saudi. He looks good. He looks confident, and I cannot wait for May the 18th.
Massive, isn't it? I mean, just from being around him, and we know with Tyson, and he'll probably say this firsthand, and you'll see it with the media, sort of what mood he's in. But as of Thailand, incredible. You would have seen him, like you say, in Saudi Arabia in great mood. Yesterday at the football, in great spirits with his friends and family there as well. When we were sat at lunch, they were discussing what time they were going to run this morning. I know that they'd been out on.
You love your half marathons. He's running 10 miles at the moment.
This is it. So
Yeah, yeah.
he's running, he's lean. Do you think from what we've seen, we know that he came in heavy for the Ngannou fight, and we also know that that probably wasn't the true Tyson in there, but we see quite a lean Usyk coming into this fight with Oleksandr Usyk, like a lean Tyson
Uh,
Fury going into this fight.
yeah, and yes, I do. And I also see a very strong. I mean, I've got a friend who's taking photographs at the moment. Charlie Gray, I could say his name. He's photographing Usyk in camp at the moment. Says he looks amazing. It's what we want. These two guys are in their prime. They're both undefeated. It's the first undisputed heavyweight title, all four belts on the line. First time undisputed in our blue ribbon division for 25 years. We know that Evander and Lennox will be there handing over the baton. It's going to be an amazing occasion. I find myself talking every day about the heavyweight division at the moment. Pick a top 10 at the moment.
So
It's really
exciting.
difficult. Hmm?
Such an exciting time.
It's an amazing time. The infrastructure that's been created around this Super League for heavyweights right now, where all the great fights are going to be made. We may even see Joshua and Wilder at some point in the next year and a half, a fight that we've lost since 2018. And you've got to thank Saudi Arabian investment. You've been over there. It's amazing over there. It's an amazing country. They're doing great things with sport and entertainment. A superpower already in that realm. It's of course people can say, "Oh, well, Fury and Joshua should be at Wembley Stadium," but I don't think it will be because I think it's a tipping point when and if those two guys fight to get 15,000 fans traveling, like Ricky Hatton did with all the fans traveling to Vegas when he fought Mayweather and Pacquiao. Um, yeah, it's a great time. You always say it's a great time to be alive, but it's a great time to be alive following the heavyweight division when it's your job.
That it is. Well, on the topic of heavyweights, Dillian Whyte made his return on Sunday night. Just firstly, This was done under an Irish, it was done in Ireland, obviously, under the Irish Board of Control, Boxing Board, however you want to word it. We know that the clearance was through the Texas Commission, a third round stoppage, I believe. We know Dillian was a little bit frustrated. We've not seen loads of footage, it wasn't broadcasted, but he said Hammer didn't really come to fight. What are your thoughts on the whole thing, Gareth?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry that it wasn't broadcast because um, I see like a Channel 5 could have picked that up or one of the, it would have done numbers. Look, Dillian is back. I'm glad he cleared his name. I've known Dillian a long time. He's an extraordinary story. There's incredible narrative behind his life. You're a very young man. Imagine being a father at 13, which he was, yeah? He's got a son in his 20s. So Dillian could be your dad, yeah? His
Yes.
son is older than you. Think about that,
Yeah.
yeah? Dillian's a great man. I mean, we've had our ups and downs. We've had a couple of rows over the years, but I love and respect Dillian Whyte for what he is. He's so honest, and I've been very privileged to have some deep interviews with him over time and some trust from him. Yes, he was frustrated because I want to use the word quit, but Christian Hammer came out throwing, didn't fancy it once Dillian started to hit him to the body. Uh, Hammer came in a little bit out of shape, 270 pounds, nearly 20 stone. Dillian was ready for the battle. He did what he had to do, got back in the win column. He was frustrated that he didn't get those battling rounds that he loves to have, the Parker fight, the Chisora fights. He loves those contests when he goes to war. And that's why he's a significant figure in this Saudi Arabian Super League for heavyweights that we're talking about. He's there, he's back. He's a great character. He'll do the trash talking. He won't take any nonsense. He's big, boisterous, and and back. And obviously there was another heavyweight fighting at the weekend that you probably want to talk about as well in Joe Joyce.
Joe
He
Joyce.
got the rounds under his belt. I spoke to him just after his fight on live on Talk Sport on Saturday night. He was a little bit frustrated, but the key for me is he got 10 rounds in. Cash Ali came, possum, that big overhand right he throws. He landed it a few times, but Joe beat him up and he stopped him in the 10th round. He'll be glad of those 10 rounds, I think, in the end. He didn't take a lot of damage. Do they fight each other in Saudi Arabia next? Do they join? Do you put either of those guys in the top 10 at the moment, Charlie Parsons?
Uh, God, it's difficult when you look at Dillian's. You've got to judge it on activity, right? Because this is probably the most active we've seen the heavyweights in a long, long time. We talk about Joseph Parker and AJ and how many fights that they've had over the course of what, 18 months. Dillian's last fight before Hammer, and we know that it was very short notice. Before that, you go back as far as Jermaine Franklin, if I'm right. So I don't know, Gareth. Can we fairly and with the activity and I suppose with Joe coming off the two defeats, can you safely put them in the top 10?
It's a very difficult thing to do at the moment, but what I will say is both Joe Joyce and Dillian Whyte, if Anthony Joshua, if the algorithm doesn't work where Anthony Joshua doesn't fight Tyson Fury or Oleksansr Usyk next, say they have a very close fight or a split draw or something like that on May the 18th, Joe Joyce or Dillian Whyte is a great opponent for him, both of them. Do I put them in the top 10? Right now, my top 10 is Fury 1, Usyk 2, Joshua 3, Parker 4, Zhang 5. I'm going Hrgovic 6, Kabayel 7, Anderson 8, Dubois 9, Bacoli 10. And
Oh,
then I'm going Dillian Whyte, Joe Joyce. Who else? And have I mentioned Deontay Wilder there or not?
no.
And
Wilder not in the top.
Deontay Wilder needs a win column. There's my top
That is a
13-ish, really.
good old list, that.
Frank Sanchez is not there either. He's there.
I
He
don't.
belongs in the top
Does he,
15.
yeah, if top 50, I don't think he's quite in with that
Oh,
crop.
I think he's very talented. I think he's very talented.
I was a little bit
And then
under
I'll put Jalalov, and then I'll put Jalalov in around 15.
Beast. But when is he
Well,
gonna
he'll be there
yeah, I was gonna say
soon.
at what point it almost feels like with me, gone off a bit of a tangent here, but boxing fans watching this will know just how good he is and still has the fights in the amateurs, which is, people will always dispute whether it's right or wrong when he's as seasoned as he is. But he almost looks like it's just a matter of time and he could get in really with anyone in the top 10 very soon.
It's a fascinating. The whole thing is at the moment, when you think that 3 events in Saudi Arabia, October, December, and the one we've just been at, knockout chaos, and indeed it was. By the time we have a fourth heavyweight event, the level of investment, understanding, resonance in the division it's made it a very, very big sport right now, and there's a lot of discussion around it. I honestly, that not a day goes by when I'm not talking about the heavyweight division at the moment, and it's really good for boxing. I've just come off the phone to Siniesa Estrada, who fights on March the 29th. There's a great fight, I believe, for Dalton Smith at the weekend against
Oh,
Zepeda.
with Sandy Ryan and Terry Harper co-main.
I'm picking Harper on points in that fight. Yeah, much more experience. Fought at light middle, coming back down to welter. Really good fight. Spoke to Sandy on Saturday night as well. There's some great things going on in boxing now. The Magnificent Seven card at the weekend was great. We mentioned Joe Joyce and Cash Ali, but look at Nathan Heaney and Brad Pauls, fight of the year contender. I had it by probably a round to Nathan Heaney.
I think
saw him at the Boxing Border Control Awards Sunday. He's in great form. There's so many good things going on right now, so many good things in the sport.
you mentioned, well, we speak a lot about Saudi Arabia at the minute. It almost feels like boxing as a whole. And look, it's going to have its naysayers and whatever, and let people do that. But me firsthand, I've quite enjoyed my experience when I've gone over there. I enjoy it. I mean, I suppose we're lucky and we're privileged in the fact that we get to go and experience it. But to me, it feels still a lot going on in the States, and we've got to make sure that that's given its place. But to me, it feels like certainly heavyweight boxing is, but boxing on these shores as such, where it used to be dominated so much in the UK, almost feels like whenever people talk about boxing at a minute, they do associate it with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, well, that's because the power brokers in the sport are based there. I mean, His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh is, there's no question about it. He's the most, easily the most influential conscript to the sport in the last year, because without his love of the sport and affection for it and passion for fighters, and look, getting Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou, who else was there? Parker and Zhang, all in the same room at a dinner on a Tuesday night for a photo op, where you learn afterwards that Fury and Joshua didn't even shake hands or speak to each other. I love that. It's the lions circling in the jungle for the king of the division. And we're going to see it all played out in the next 12 to 18 months. So there's the saying, when heavyweight boxing's strong, the whole of boxing's strong. I mentioned Siniesa Estrada. She's fighting Valle for all the minimum weight belts on March 29th. Who is it? Oscar De La Hoya against Top Rank. Bob Arum against Oscar De La Hoya. Bob promoted him. So Siniesa wants to win for Top Rank. There's jeopardy there against Oscar De La Hoya. It's not just for her personally, but it's for her team, her promotional team. So, there's promoters are working together. We're expecting those weights to be announced soon between
Yeah,
Frank
what's going on
Warren
there, Gareth?
and Eddie Hearn. Well, I mean, what's happening with Conor Benn and the appeal hearing? That'll be announced very soon. I think they're putting the nuts and bolts of that together for June the 1st. It's going to be an amazing card. Honestly, I think it's going to blow the socks off. Every card's got nothing will be bigger than Ring of Fire on May the 18th. I think all the stops will be pulled out for that. It's going to be a monolithic event, if I can call it that. Are you going or not?
Come on, Gareth.
Have you booked already?
I've not booked already, but I'm damn right going. Have you booked already?
Yep, yep.
Refundable?
That's nonsense. I mean, yes, of course.
No, I'm just saying.
Well, no, I don't want to say refundable because I do believe the fight will go
No,
ahead.
no, no, cool. Same here.
There's a
But like,
$10 million
no, 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 no.
jeopardy if they don't. Remember?
My point being is, you know what it's like when you book some of these trips. I think I had Mexico booked once before and it was cancelled a couple of days before. I suppose it's not me forking that out my back pocket, so I'm lucky. But whoever is backing it,
It's not me forking it out of me back pocket. It's starting to sound like Eddie Hearn.
I'm quite enjoying the dynamic today, Gareth. It's gone from like an interview to a bit of a talk show.
Well, it's always a talk show with me and you. You got me to interview my friend Michael Buffer the other day in
I'm
Saudi, one of my
hoping
great
we
friends
can
in the
do more
sport.
of that
Absolutely.
when we're on.
Whenever I'm around, I'm very welcome to chip in. Yeah.
I don't want to
I'm
keep.
going for dinner. I'm going for dinner in a minute.
I
I'm
know you are.
starving.
I know you are. I had a lovely dinner, not to rub it in. Ryan
I'm
Gar
about to have a fillet steak and a nice salad. So yeah.
Ryan Garcia, you said to me a couple of weeks ago you weren't worried. Now it just keeps unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. There's bottles of him, videos of him drinking bottles of wine and a lot of stuff that I don't even necessarily want to get into because it's quite dark. And there is the whole talk like maybe it's promo, maybe he's selling the fight, but he doesn't look particularly well. They're still adamant the fight's going to go ahead. I believe the New York Athletic Commission are now having a mental health assessment done on him, which me personally, I think it makes sense. Not convinced it happens, to be honest. Where are you at? Also, does it put Derek James's stock down a little bit?
Right. In answer to all of these things, I'm going to keep it brief. I watched Ryan's video this morning where he said no one has the right to mooch around inside his head and give him mental health checks. I'm backing him on this. Now, if he decides he's pulling out, that's fine. Ryan is someone who's very kind to me, and I've always had a very good relationship with him. I've interviewed him probably 5, 6 times. I think he's a beautiful human being, as you know he is. He's got massive social media following, 11 odd million followers on Twitter and Instagram. He's a very young man. He's going through an awful lot. Punches to the head I worry about for some guys, like I worry about Mike Tyson against Jake Paul. But I am not going to sit here like an amateur psychologist or psychotherapist and say that I understand Ryan Garcia's mind. Ryan is his own man. He's got two very loving parents who know him. He's got a loving family. I've met the family before. They know their son. Is he trolling? Maybe. But I watched him this morning when I woke up to do the interview with you, and this is where we'll end it, when I had an hour spare, and I could have had that hour of sleep at my age, which would have been good for me. All right. Yeah. While you were on the Raz in Manchester last night. Yeah. With Fury and crew. Although I must say, I know that Tyson didn't even have a drink yesterday. Make that clear.
Damn
Because he's look, my thing is this. I don't think I have the right. I care about Ryan Garcia. I care about every boxer I ever speak about or talk about or meet. I don't have the right to analyze his mind. I really don't. I can analyze his mind in terms of going into a fight. But I think if he makes the decision to pull out, that's up to him. And he's not happy that people are doing mental health checks on him. He's entitled to be as zany as he wants to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge him from here. I am not going to judge him. If he wants to smoke weed, you can't smoke weed, and you can't. It's part of testing. It's not legal to smoke weed and fight. So he needs to come off weed before he fights because it's a banned substance. So isn't it? It's a banned substance on the ban list.
I'm just
so
thinking on
he's
that.
got to make a decision in that sense. But I'm not going to judge where Ryan Garcia's mind is.
Okay, you've got your loyalties, you've got your ties. That is more than fair enough.
That's just how I feel as a human being. I don't, I'm not going to. I do not. I do not. Yeah, he is zany. He is quirky. He's a very deeply spiritual person. I'm not going into all the things like you say. There's some kind of real off-piece stuff that he's talked about as well. It's up to him what he does.
All right, Gareth. Well, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our mate Jamie. You know, Jamie Haldeman. He said he caught up with you at the British Boxing Border Control Awards, had a little drink with him. Top bloke. I'll be having a drink with you soon, Gareth. Are you in Sheffield?
No, I'm presenting from Talk Sport on Saturday night, so I'll be across it from in the studio, myself and Spencer Oliver.
Well, I'm sure, as always, we will WhatsApp throughout the week and we'll be here this time next week. But I'm going to jump in early and I'm going to get the early slot and I'm not going to be on the Raz in Manchester. Big man team.
Rock and roll, baby. See
Good
you
luck,
later.
Gareth. See you later.
See you.